we've got our back strap here, and I'm cutting off. There'll be a seam. You can see a white seam, and you'll cut that off the seam. And a lot of times you just stick your finger in like this one. Stick your finger in there, pull it off. You'll get all that outer membrane off. And there's a little bit here of a seam, and that's attached to the silver skin, so you'll have to cut it off. And then on the back here, you'll see this membrane still. There's still a membrane or silver skin here. That's pretty tough, and it kind of ruins it makes your meat not as appetizing. It doesn't. I don't know that it does a lot for the flavor, but just the texture. It's best to get this off of here, and so what I do is I lay it here, and I basically fillet it like you would fillet the skin off a fish. I get my knife in right above the silver skin, and I am using a fillet knife, and I lay it down kind of against the board, and I just come along my cutting board there. You can see how that's working. And then I go back this way. And I cut the little pieces that I missed when I was filleting. Cut them off. See a little bit there. Set that aside, and we'll get the meat off of that in a little bit. Then right here's the little edge of it. And so you see on that side, we're all down to red meat. We got rid of all that silver skin. So we'll turn it back to this side. This is the side that's up against the ribs. And we'll cut off the pieces. They're just little random pieces of silver skin here. We're going to cut them off. For the most part, you trim fat on game. I have taken these back straps off some big fat dry does that have been eaten in the grain fields, and them have a little intermuscular fat or marbling, and it's okay to leave that. That usually doesn't affect your flavor bad. It actually helps the tenderness of your meat. It's all right to leave the intermuscular fat. I just wouldn't leave any external fat that's on the outside of the muscle. Cut those pieces of silver skin off, and a lot of times if your shot's just a little bit high on a deer, you'll have some bloodshot in this back strap, because it does run all the way up above the front shoulder. So this is the time that if you've got some bloodshot in there to try to cut it out. It'll be purple or black. It'll have clods in it. You'll see the damage that the bullet has done, and so you try to get that off. But I shot this one a little low, and so I don't have any damage in this back strap at all. So I'm just cutting the little pieces of ligament or silver skin off there, sinew off, pretty much we've got a nice piece of all red meat here. Beautiful red meat. And then I'm going to show you how I make steaks out of this. Any real flappy pieces where I kind of didn't get it cut real good when I was taking it off the backbone, I cut them off and they go in my grind bowl. So, here's how I make the steaks out of that tenderloin that we just cleaned up. Or not tenderloin, out of that backstrap that we just cleaned up. We're going to make butterfly steaks out of it. This piece of meat is not huge, and so we'll make a steak that's got a little more size to it. First, I'm going to take the end and just square it up. Put that piece in my stew meat. And then I come over about 1/2 inch. And I cut 3/4 of the way through. And then I come over another 1/2 inch and I cut all the way through. Pull it off, and that makes a really nice little steak. These are the best part of the deer. And so you see that pretty steak? It's actually butterflied. You see we got to cut 3/4 of the way through, opens up, makes a decent sized little steak. We'll just do that with this whole backstrap. And we'll make all these butterflies right here. Butterfly steaks. Those are, that's good looking meat. Those will be excellent. And if you like to grill, this piece is really nice grilled. Another way, instead of cutting those 1/2 inch thick, if you cut those almost 1 inch thick, open them up like this, wrap a piece of bacon around the outside, run a toothpick through them, season them real good, put them on the grill like filet mignon. It's excellent. But I cook a lot of my steak in the cast iron skillet, and I like them a little thinner. I like my deer cooked all the way through. Right now is a good time to be kind of looking at your meat, seeing how tough it is, what it smells like. And you know, if you got pretty tough meat that smells pretty dark, like from a big buck or something, you're gonna want to do things with it other than steaks and roasts. You're gonna want to try to make sausage and things like that out of it. These part, even on an old tough buck, you can at very least, you can hit these with a tenderizing mallet and make chicken fried steak out of them. They'll still make decent chicken fried steak. Old tough buck, this is about the only part I'd keep as a steak, this and the tenderloin. But this was a young buck, and it's going to be good. But like I said already, we're going to make jerky, stew meat, and sausage out of this. We're keeping these for steaks. We kept the tenderloins for steaks. And I didn't turn the camera on when I was making tenderloin steaks. I forgot. So we got down this little tail. That's not a very big steak, so that's going in our stew meat pile. And that's how you do a deer tenderloin. So I've got these deer tenderloins done.
Those aren't tenderloins.
I'm sorry.
Backstraps.
That's how you do a deer backstrap. And I've got these deer backstraps done. And I'm going to stack them right over here. I'm going to take all that sinew and pieces I cut off and kind of cut what meat I can save for my grinder, for my sausage. Going to fillet that a little closer. And put that in my grind bowl. And go back through and do that to all the pieces I trimmed off. And then we'll have that done.